You've been gone too long. You've left me all alone. Now you wanna
Q, top of the hour news. As it happens, when it happens, wherever it happens. Local, regional, and global. Only on Q95, the big station. Q95DA.com. Right on, Q. Q, top of the hour news.
Good afternoon. This is the Midday News for today, Wednesday, April 24th, 2024. I am Richie Farrell in the headlines.
5.
DAEC President and Senior Pastor at the Truth and Grace Fellowship Global, Randy Rodney, makes clear the DAEC's position regarding the April 22nd, 2024 court ruling that legalized buggery in Dominica. After weeks of frustration and disruption, local banana and plantain farmers in St. Lucia have received a shipment of boxes to export their crops, which relieved a severe shortage that impacted their operation.
Q95DA.com. Right on, Q.
And Trump hush money trial day 6 in New York. Heard a damaging testimony from National Enquirer publisher David Pecker, who helped suppress negative stories about Trump in the 2016 presidential campaign. The news brought to you with the very kind compliments of Court Dominica Limited. Details coming up.
Only on Q95, the big station. Q95DA.com. Right on, Q.
Attention tout le monde, courts, Yatil, April 26th, 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. April 27th, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Courts, warehousing for Cole. Mamma mia, bien messieurs, mesdames. Sale on furniture, major whites, hardware, decor, more. Everything must go. Tout bagay obligé.
Welcome back. President of the Dominica Association of Evangelical Churches, DAEC, and Senior Pastor at the Truth and Grace Fellowship Global, Randy Rodney, has made clear the DAEC's position regarding the April 22nd, 2024 court ruling, which sided with the claim of a homosexual man that Section 14 and 16 of the Sexual Offences Act violated his human right to consensually engage in sexual acts with a member of the same sex. The magistrate then ordered the decriminalization of buggery in Dominica. Pastor Rodney explains that morally, this new effort by the courts and the gay community is not supported by the principles of God and not in line with righteous living traits.
The whole question of homosexuality in Dominica, you will recall, with the Evangelical Association, for example, started probably about 17 years ago. But when there was a cruise ship anchored out port, from the shore, you could have seen men engaged in certain, activities with men right on the shore. And if you recall, the association then had some rallies and so on in that regard. So that dates back quite a number of years. But it's important for us to understand what's happening. And first, I want to say to people that I am a Bible person. I believe in the Bible. The Bible for me is above everything else, including constitutions and legal decision. Why do I believe that? Because I believe the Bible is the source of all information as it refers to and relates to life and godliness. A few statements I must make upfront. That the Evangelical Association or Randy Rodney, anybody like this, is not against marriedom or against an individual. We are not fighting a human battle, right? It's either you are for God or you against God. Now, many of us, and I include myself in that, when we want to do our activities, we sideline God's word. And that becomes hypocrisy. So we put God on the side for something that will suit us, whether it's for corruption or for homosexuality or for fornication or adultery or whatever the case is. We sideline God. If you are God's man, you can't do that. It's either you for God or you against God. And we need to establish that upfront. God is not in the compromise business.
The High Court ruled on April 22nd, 2024, that Dominica's laws against sodomy were unconstitutional. According to court documents, Attorney Kara Shillingford represented the claimants. The Attorney General Office represented the defendant. Additionally, Attorney at Law Joel Harris gave legal representations for the Anglican Church and the Bishop of Roseau Catholic Church, and Attorney Joshua Francis represented the Dominica Association of Evangelical Churches, DAEC, as intervening parties. Since the establishment of the 1978 Constitution, all forms of homosexuality were illegal in Dominica, including anal sex between a man and a woman. Pastor Randy Rodney assured members of the gay community that there is still time for them to repent to Jesus Christ, renounce their ways, and adopt a sane lifestyle. Pastor Rodney went on to eloquently reveal the details of the ruling of the High Court on April 22nd, 2024, which he believes clearly sidelined the concept of morality on the matter.
What the legislation is dealing with particularly is that the judge is ruling that people who practice homosexual sex, and I probably should read to you something that you would not have heard from the press conference that Miridom had. On the second paragraph in the introduction, Justice Sinak Fulgen says, I think it is important to say at the outset that this case is not about whether the actions, choices, lifestyle, or otherwise of the claimant are right or otherwise, but is solely to determine whether certain rights guaranteed to every citizen of Dominica by the Constitution of Dominica have been infringed by Section 14 and 16 of the Sexual Offences Act, right? Mm-hmm. With this in mind, I now examine the case. So the judge is saying upfront that I am not in a position to determine what is right or wrong. That matter is about determining whether somebody's rights according to the Constitution was violated. That's what that matter was about. Okay? Now, from the church perspective, we deal with matters from a right or wrong perspective. That can't be handled in a court of law. And people must know that. Churches deal with matters from a right or wrong perspective. That is not a matter that's discussed in a court of law. It's a matter that is discussed with your Bible in your hands. So is homosexuality wrong from a Bible perspective? Absolutely. Does God forgive homosexuals? Certainly. Can God change homosexuals? For sure.
President of the DAEC and senior pastor at the Truth and Grace Fellowship Global, Randy Rodney. CARICOM member states are encouraged to exchange experiences in the signature and ratification process of the new global treaty on the management of marine biodiversity beyond national jurisdictions, BBNJ. The United Nations General Assembly approved the Biodiversity Beyond National Jurisdictions, BBNJ, in June 2023, and the treaty was open for signature in September of 2023. So far, 89 UN member countries have signed this agreement, including 6 CARICOM member states. They are Antigua and Barbuda, Belize, the Bahamas, Dominica, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines. Belize has since ratified, becoming the first CARICOM member state to do so. The BBNJ will enter into force when at least 60 countries ratify it. CARICOM member states have been actively engaged from the outset of the negotiations and have been vocal leaders in all aspects of the negotiation process. To maintain active engagement, CARICOM foreign ministers at the Council for Foreign and Community Relations have mandated the formation of a multi-stakeholder advisory group to support and guide countries to ratification and early implementation of this treaty. At a workshop in Miami, Florida from the 11th to the 12th of April 2024, Lisa Showman, CARICOM General Counsel, called for open dialogue regarding experiences at the national level. Open quote. The law of the sea and its various implementing instruments have been a great equalizer for this region. Whether it was the limitation of our exclusive economic zones, management of fish stocks important to our food security, or management of seabed resources, this new agreement is no different. It presents an opportunity for us to expand our capacities and capabilities and to move more strategically to managing and benefiting from the vast natural resources represented by the oceans that surround us. Indeed, for those of us who have committed to building blue economies, the Constitution of the Sea is a necessary tool in management, end quote, the General Counsel said at the opening of the workshop. Acting Superintendent of Prisons Jeffrey Edmond has announced that his staff will soon undergo training in literacy and numeracy classes. He added as well that the Cabinet of Dominica has already approved 23 positions and 11 staff members have been engaged for the pilot phase of this training.
We also, in the not too distant future, will engage our inmates in literacy and numeracy classes. Our staffing cabinets have approved the positions of 23 new officers. And as a result of this new mandate, we have already engaged 11 new staff. As we speak, they are in training. Last week, they were in Mount Bruce Training School for a week. And as we speak, training is continuing at the prison right now.
Acting Superintendent of Prisons Jeffrey Edmond, this is Q95 News. As part of a model Safe Schools program funded by the government of Norway and implemented through collaboration among the government of Dominica, SIDEMA, and UNICEF, 8 primary and 3 secondary schools in Dominica have obtained certification for their adherence to safe school practices. Isabella John, Senior Environmental Health Officer, explained that principals and teachers from these schools were familiar with the essential components of the Safe Schools recognition model.
So the activities on implementation of that program included 2 consultations, followed by the assessment of the schools that were selected. The first consultation was with the principals from the 11 schools, 8 primary schools, and 3 secondary schools. Namely, we had the Wesley, the Watson Waven, the Jubla, the Sineku, the Master Kenfield, the Newtown, the Salisbury, Jones Bopier Primary School. And for the secondary, we had the Cassibrus, Isaiah Thomas, and the Portsmouth Secondary School, respectively. At that consultation, we had 25 participants, and that included the principals and the teachers who were tasked with safety at the schools, and they were introduced to the key elements of the Safe School Recognition Program. The second consultation was with the team of the assessors, where we had 10 persons selected from the Environmental Health Department, the Office of Disaster Management, and Ministry of Education. So that team, we were tasked with carrying out the assessment at the 11 schools that were selected. At that consultation, we were introduced to the key elements of the Safe School Recognition Program, as well as the assessment tool that was developed by CDMA to carry out the assessment.
Senior Environmental Health Officer in the Environmental Health Department, Isabella John. Rosie Felix of Rosie Sparks Women Dominica has extended heartfelt condolences to the family, friends, and colleagues of Nurse Tracy John Lewis from Silver Lake. She mourned the loss of a dedicated nurse and skilled hair artiste whose promising future was abruptly cut short, leaving her community in grief. The news of Nurse John Lewis's passing, along with the loss of her unborn child, elicited shock and sadness across Dominica, particularly among healthcare workers at the Dominica China Friendship Hospital. This tragedy, she said, underscores broader concerns about health system failures, including staffing shortages, inadequate training, and lack of accountability.
On behalf of Rosie Sparks Women Dominica, I extend profound condolences to the family, friends, community of Silver Lake, and professional colleagues of deceased Nurse Tracy John Lewis of Silver Lake, Dominica, a baby nurse, a hair artist, was stolen from us in broad daylight in the place where she worked. Her dream was killed, and Silver Lake's silver lining turned black with mourning. The news of her death and fatal demise sent shocking waves of anger, pain, and grief throughout Dominica, including among the DCFH administrators, physicians, midwives, nurses, and auxiliary staff. According to the World Health Organization, health system failure translates to poor quality care, including disrespect, mistreatment and abuse, insufficient numbers of and inadequately trained health workers, shortages of essential medical supplies, and poor accountability on the part of health system authorities.
Nurse Felix noted the widespread concerns about Dominica's healthcare system, citing its several failures. To address this urgent issue, Rosie Sparks Women Dominica is demanding an immediate root cause analysis by investigating the cause of deaths of Nurse Tracy and baby Tracy John Lewis.
The Pan American Health Organization reports that inequalities in socioeconomic status, ethnicity, education, age, and place of residence all increase the risk of a woman dying during pregnancy, childbirth, or the postpartum period. Further, it states that 9 out of 10 maternal deaths are preventable with timely access to evidence based maternal care. Even on the preliminary information I have gathered, as a registered and licensed midwife in the Commonwealth of Dominica, I can categorically conclude that Tracy John's death was preventable. In the past several months, Dominicans here and abroad have lamented the fact that Dominica is in that place where our health system has failed. Taking all of the above into consideration and with a great measure of urgency, Rosie Sparks Women Dominica urgently calls for a root cause analysis of Nurse Tracy and baby Tracy John Lewis deaths. The Hospital Board Authority and the Ministry of Health of Dominica by extension need once and for all to redeem itself. Step up to excellence in the provision of quality maternal and general health care to the people of Dominica and all who come to our shores.
You've just heard statements from Rosie Felix, representative from the Rosie Sparks Women in Dominica group. Minister of Tourism Mrs. Denise Charles Pemberton has praised the latest coffee table book, Dominica's Best Kept Secret Second Edition, authored by Cecil Clarke, as a significant contribution to enriching Dominica's tourism product and industry. She highlighted that the book's comprehensive details and captivating photographs offer readers a deeper appreciation of Dominica's unique attractions, making it a standout destination.
Through the lens of Mr. Clarke, in his coffee table book, Dominica, The Best Kept Secret, we are invited to embark on a visual journey which transports us to the very heart of Dominica. Clarke has managed to capture the island's landscapes in lovely detail, from our lush rainforests to the rugged coastlines and festivals. Each image invites us to pause and to appreciate the natural wonders that make Dominica such a unique destination. His work goes beyond simply showcasing the island's natural beauty. However, his photographs also celebrate the warm hospitality of the Dominica people, allowing us a glimpse into their daily lives and traditions. Through his lens, we are able to connect with the heart and soul of our land. Ultimately, Dominica, The Best Kept Secret, is a work that inspires exploration.
Charles Pemberton has conveyed the ministry's appreciation to Mr. Clarke for capturing the essence of the island, portraying it as a perfect haven for visitors, encouraging them to return repeatedly.
The Ministry of Tourism commends this work of art, which captures the essence of this Caribbean gem. It is a perfect keepsake for visitors, so they can always re-immerse themselves in our culture, heritage, and beauty through every page of the coffee book. Your work Cecil, will certainly contribute to our drive to keep Dominica the number one destination in our region. We have already received excellent news. I cannot share yet, but that Dominica, apart from the numerous accolades that we have received so far in 2024, another major one will be announced soon. I am proud of this government for making the right investments to promote our country and increasing access to our destination. All tourism stakeholders for their investments and commitment to the industry. Staff in the tourism industry who ensure that all our visitors have a fantastic experience. This coffee book will certainly invite new travelers to put Dominica as a must-see destination on their bucket list. I encourage all of you to dive into the pages of this remarkable coffee table book and let yourselves be transported to the enchanting island of Dominica. Allow Cecil's photographs to ignite your sense of wonder and your desire to experience this hidden paradise for yourselves. Mr. Clark, you did very well. Very well done.
Minister of Tourism Denise Charles Pemberton. This is Q95 News. Financial economist and leader of the United Workers' Party, Dr. Thompson Fontaine, has highlighted the prevailing sentiment among many Dominicans that the party should prioritize action over diplomatic channels to effect change, particularly in vocalizing the people's concerns in Dominica. However, he also emphasized the need to revise approaches to achieving tangible results. Dr. Fontaine pointed out the success of protest actions in Salisbury as a model to consider, underscoring the importance of understanding Dominica's realities as part of formulating effective change strategies.
The reality of Dominica is that, you got, as the people of Salisbury, the most successful protest actions we've seen in the recent past in Dominica has taken place in Salisbury. What has been the result of it? 53 persons in Salisbury are still, before the courts. Live rounds of ammunition were used on the villagers, not once, but twice. People were shot in Salisbury. That is the reality. So yes, we can call people out, but we have to be mindful of that, and people, and sometimes I sit there and I see people saying, you need to be doing, that. Let's deal with the reality that we have in Dominica. You protest, you sit there, peaceful protest, they come, they take you away. All right. That's not what is done here in Dominica. Guys, come now. Can we change that dynamic? Can we change the dynamic of police officers ready to fire on their own people? And that's probably the question we should be asking if we're going to go that route. But we need to be responsible at the same time. So again, we have to continue to plan mad for all eventualities. If one plan fails, you work on the other plan. And it's not that. And when I say that we are waiting, it does not mean that we do not have plans for other eventualities. I'm saying that we are working on one option now. When that is exhausted, we go to the other option. But we have to do it deliberately. We have to do it carefully. We have to do it with the support of the masses. You cannot be out there on your own trying to do something without the support of the masses. Let us understand this, Dominic. And I don't know why people are not understanding this. I don't know why all of a sudden, after 15 years, all of a sudden we have to do everything in 5 months. We've been at it for 15 years, for goodness sake.
And that was Dr. Thompson Fontaine, leader of the United Workers' Party. In other news, after weeks of frustration and disruptions, local banana and plantain farmers in St. Lucia have received a shipment of boxes to export their crops. A shortage severely impacted the farmers' operations, but they are relieved to return to production. Agriculture Minister Alfred Prosper said St. Lucia ordered the boxes from within and outside the region to address this shortage. Prosper told reporters recently. Last week, we received 8,500 boxes from St. Vincent and the Grenadines through Winera, and we also received a container with 12,000 boxes from the United States. You're tuned in with Q95 News. Day 6 of Donald Trump's hush money trial in New York heard damaging testimony from a tabloid publisher. National Enquirer publisher David Pecker testified that he helped work to suppress negative stories about Mr. Trump During the 2016 presidential campaign, Donald Trump has pleaded not guilty to 34 counts of falsifying business records. The BBC's Nada Tawfik breaks down the high stakes moments to give you the key takeaways from that day.
A rough day for Donald Trump as the court hears damaging evidence and the judge says his team is losing all credibility. During a fiery hearing, prosecutors argued that Trump willfully violated a limited gag order that bars him from attacking potential witnesses or jurors at least 10 times. They asked that he be held in contempt of court and fined up to $10,000. His lawyer, Todd Blanche, said he was responding to political attacks, but struggled to offer any supporting evidence. The judge, making his frustration known, said Todd Blanche was losing all credibility with the court. Then, the first witness in this case, tabloid publisher David Pecker, was back on the stand. His testimony contradicted Donald Trump's claim that the hush money payment to Stormy Daniels was all about protecting his family, reputation, and brand. Pecker said Trump and his lawyer at the time, Michael Cohen, asked him to meet in August of 2015 to see what he could do to help his campaign. An agreement among friends, as he put it. Pecker offered to help publish unflattering stories about Trump's opponents and, crucially, to catch and kill negative stories about him. The defense will have their turn to ask the questions once prosecutors are done.
That's the midday news. Here's a recap of our headlines. DAEC President and Senior Pastor at the Truth and Grace Fellowship Global, Randy Rodney,
When it happens,
makes clear the DAEC's position regarding the April 22nd, 2024 court ruling that legalized buggery in Dominica.
Right.
After weeks of frustration and disruption, local banana and plantain farmers in St. Lucia have received a shipment of boxes to export their crops, which relieved a severe shortage that impacted their operation.
Q, top of the hour news. As it happened,
And Trump hush money trial day number 6 in New York heard damaging testimony from National Enquirer publisher David Pecker,
5DA,
who helped suppress negative stories about Donald Trump in the 2016 presidential campaign. The news brought to you with the very kind compliments of Courts Dominica Limited. I am Richie Farrell. Stay tuned. Weather report comes up next.
our news. As it happens, when it happens, wherever it happens. Local, regional, and global.
Attention tout le monde, courts, yard sale, April 26th, 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. April 27th, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Courts, warehousing for Cole. Mamma mia, turn bien, messieurs, mesdames. Sale on furniture, major whites, hardware, decor, more. Everything must go. Tout bagay obligé.
And it's now time for the weather report, valid from today of 12 p.m. today, April 24th, 2024. The winds are moving east-northeasterly to east-southeasterly at 15 to 30 kilometers per hour. Sea conditions slight to moderate in open water. Waves peaking 1 to 2 meters or 3 to 7 feet. There is a high surf advisory in effect for Dominica. The sunrise was at 5:45 a.m. The sunset will be at 6:22 p.m. Low tide 10:03 a.m. and 9:28 p.m. High tide 3:06 a.m. and 4:25 p.m. The forecast for this afternoon and tonight: fair to partly cloudy, becoming cloudy and hazy with brief scattered showers. The synopsis: weak unstable conditions are approaching Dominica. Here's the weather outlook for Dominica. Dominica and the Lesser Antilles, valid from 12 p.m. today. Weak unstable conditions generated by the passage of a southward moving shear line is approaching Dominica. As a result, partly cloudy conditions with a few showers can be expected during the afternoon period. Thereafter, cloudy conditions with scattered showers are possible during the nighttime, overnight period. A high concentration of Saharan dust haze is expected to remain across Dominica. A reduction in concentration is expected by Thursday. Low visibility and poor air quality are expected for that period. People with respiratory sensitivities should take all the necessary precautions to avoid complications. Small craft operators venturing out to sea should take along the necessary equipment for safe navigation as well. Moderate seas can be expected during the next 24 hours, with swells expected to peak near 7 feet. And again, a high surf advisory is in effect for the northern and western coasts on Dominica. That's the weather report for today, valid 12 p.m. The notice board and announcements come up after this.
Not be afraid of what the future brings. This is only the start of the trans revolution.
Thank you for staying with us. Reference is made to the 48 days amnesty on the payment of late fees offered by the Dominica Social Security DSS, which ended on 12 April 2024. This is to advise that, commencing in the month of May 2024, DSS will be publishing the names of delinquent employers who have failed to pay and or make appropriate arrangements for settlement of their debts. Employers who do not wish to have their names published should visit the Social Security office to make the necessary arrangement. Failure to do so, employers will have their names be included on the list to be published. All concerned are asked to take note and to be guided accordingly. That concludes the notice board for today. I've been your presenter, Richie Farrell, with the Q95 News team, wishing you a pleasant afternoon.
Winning numbers for Dominica National Lottery, a morning draw of Wednesday, the 24th of April, 2024. 33 morning draw winning numbers are 4, 9, and 4. And the multi-X ball is FP. There were 12 winners. Big 4 morning draw winning numbers are 1, 9, 1, and 8. And the multi-X ball is FP. Payout is $800. Pick 2 morning draw winning numbers are 5 and 0. And the multi-X ball is 3X. The next morning